Hello, my fellow fans of the small. I'm Lara Blair, and this is Tiny Worlds, Big Stories. Here we celebrate the artists who craft small-scale magic, miniature makers, diorama dreamers, and dollhouse designers, and uncover the stories and creativity that bring these tiny worlds to life. Whether you build tiny scenes or simply love them, welcome. There are artists who build things, and then there are artists who build entire worlds. Worlds so detailed, so intentional, that you almost forget they exist at the tip of someone's fingers. Today's guest, Kristine of Paper Doll Miniatures, is one of those rare creators. What began as a way to stay connected to creativity, to purpose, and to herself during a long season of chronic illness has evolved into a body of work that is both technically extraordinary and deeply human. From photographing herself inside handmade dioramas to designing modern dollhouses from scratch, Kristine has always been less interested in miniatures as objects and more interested in miniatures as storytelling, because that's really what she does. She tells stories through light, through texture, through the quiet presence of a space that feels lived in, even when no one is there. Her work blurs the line between photography, filmmaking, design, and sculpture, all at a small scale enough to fit in the palm of your hand, yet expansive enough to hold entire narratives. And what's especially compelling is how her path unfolded, not from formal training in fabrication or engineering, but from curiosity, a resourcefulness, and a willingness to figure things out, teaching herself laser cutting, learning 3D printing at a public library, designing what didn't yet exist because she needed it to tell the story she saw in her mind. Today, her work has caught the attention of major brands who trust her not just to recreate their products, but to reimagine them, turning them into cinematic, miniature experiences that feel both magical and unmistakably real. But underneath all of that is something even more powerful, a deep understanding of what it means to create from limitation, to build a life piece by piece when the path forward isn't obvious. In this conversation, we talk about that evolution from blogger to brand collaborator, from survival to storytelling, and from tiny objects to big, meaningful work. Hi, Kristine. How are you?
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here.
I just can't wait to talk to you. So excited that you're here too. And I said in the intro, I talked about all of your good stuff, but now we get to hear like all the behind the scenes. So were you a miniature lover? Tell us about little Kristine. What did you love? What did you play with? Barbies? What was it?
Filmmaking. I bought my first camcorder when I was, grade 8. So I don't know how old you are in grade 8. Is that like 12? No, but you're like, I think like 12 or 13 or something. I saved up, bought my first camcorder, and I made all these videos with my cousins and my friends. And that's what I was into. I wanted to be in the film industry when I grew up. And I was like, either be like a cinematographer or a director. And I think I have at least like videos that I would get my family together, my extended family, and they'd all play roles. And
do you still have them? Please tell me you still.
Yeah. And I was always the director. So that was like my interest.
Why don't you be a female Steven Spielberg?
Or YouTube was big, right? Because I feel like if YouTube had been a thing, I would have been all over that.
You would have been. Wow. Yeah, okay. But you went into photography. So how did that?
So I went to university, and in the midst of it, I took some art classes and I was like, I really like this. So I switched and I went in and got a Bachelor of Fine Arts. And the thing is that you had to photograph some of my photography classes. You had to photograph things. And I either was too shy and I lived too far out of the city to like photograph things. So I made diorama sets and photographed them. And that's yeah. And I have to give credit because at this time, I think it's like 2007, 2008, there were like miniature blogs, like Pepper. She did the Mitchy Moo miniatures, and there's IC Crulian and like Bray's, Letterines, like miniature. They were doing these modern miniatures that I had never seen before, and I was all over it. So I started making these dioramas out of drywall and popsicle sticks, like these, drywall. And I'd photograph them. And my name actually came, Paper Doll Miniatures, is because I would photograph myself, cut it out, it in this diorama and rephotograph it. And that was all to avoid going out into the city and
I had no idea
photographing.
that's why you did that. That was one of my favorite things I read is that you had your little paper doll Christines in your
Right? And
diorama.
I did that for years. I had, like, a solo show, and
Wow.
I really loved it. Yeah, it was
So would you can at the time, you weren't a miniaturist, you were a photographer who happened to use
yeah,
miniatures in your when did it
yes.
cross from being a fine art photographer to let's do this miniature thing. I'm gonna do this.
So after university, I really struggled with chronic illness for a long time.
Oh no.
I had fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue, unexplained, and I actually, like, finished school, couldn't work. I
Mm.
was, like, sofa bound for, like, almost a decade, and so I would do
What?
miniature.
You're extremely prolific. How on earth?
Like, I
Wow.
did it as a hobby on my blog, and it was great because it was you need a purpose, right? Like, I need a purpose. So it was something to focus on doing. So I'd do these little scenes on the blog. I'd feel connected to the community because the blogging community was fabulous. And then eventually, miniatures.com reached out and they were like, "Can you if we send you product, can you make a scene for us?"
So is this before the Brentwood and the townhouse? Is this okay, I didn't realize you got together with them before that. Okay.
Yeah, so this is, like, kind of where it started, and they'd reached out to, like, a couple bloggers because again, like, Instagram wasn't really a thing at this point. I think I did, like, 7 scenes with them over the years. I not all, like, before the Br mostly before, like, the Brentwood, and so we, like, built that relationship, and it was, like, a gifted, like, exchange, but it was fabulous because it gave me a reason to make things, and also that actually because I'm one of those people where it could take forever, so I liked having a deadline. Because I was like, "Look, I finally have accomplishments that you can see." I loved it, and so they trusted me, and we did that, and then eventually, I can't remember how, but Uma Beauty reached out.
Oh, so brands reached out really early to you. This was early.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was before the Brentwood and everything. So,
That's
I
so
did
cool.
I did one makeup thing for them, built a scene and everything. So that was my first brand work, and that was on Instagram, and that was like, "Oh my god, this is so cool." And then I did several repeat jobs for Elmis, and that really solidified, like, the
I'm a
brand work.
miniaturist now. Yeah, this is what I do.
And so I think when I look back, I love miniatures, but I really love telling stories. And I think I've picked miniatures as my vehicle to tell stories. When I buy a miniature, I'm thinking, how am I going to film this? What story am I going to tell with it? And I'm very selective about what I buy or make because I'm so focused on how I'm going to show it. So I think that makes me slightly different than maybe a collector or something.
And I see that too. The storytelling is very, very strong throughout all of your stuff. Your blog, which I look through, and of course your Instagram and your brand work. And we're going to talk about the brand work in a bit, but I really want to talk about like how did you come up with the Brentwood idea and I love the urban townhouse. That's the next one I want to get. And how did it cross over to miniatures.com selling it and how did that relationship go?
Basically, like, because I had done those initial like collabs like earlier with the products, they approached me about making a house and I did the Brentwood with them, which was like the best experience. Like there are certain things in your miniature journey and like that's like up at the top. And it was a really big learning experience for me because there's a lot of pieces and I designed the whole things and I had to figure out how to make that like flying because it's a double little roof and that was
Do
it.
you
That
have like an
was
architect like that's kind of an architect thing. Where you just figured it out?
Yeah, and I think it goes back because when I was a blogger, I learned how to laser cut and 3D print at my local library because I wanted modern stuff, and there was
Oh,
nothing.
okay. I want to talk about that because you're a pioneer with that, like big time. Because when you were starting, that was 2020 was when the miniature thing kind of exploded for people
Yeah,
doing it at home. And you were way earlier than that. So you were doing this because you were doing your own work. You wanted modern stuff. When did you see like everyone else kind of catch up with, I want a 3D printer, like way later?
it definitely was like when it became affordable to at one point. For a while, it wasn't affordable. I went to my library. I never dreamed of owning a laser cutter. I didn't get that until the pandemic kind of area, but I never dreamed of owning a laser. I would go to my library, and I'd bring all my files, and I just sit
You wanted to do it, and you
Yeah,
figured out how to do
yeah.
it.
I wanted a modern faucet, I wanted a modern pot filler, and I have to credit, like, that miniature modern blogging community really, like, encouraged each other, but I had no experience with CAD, I had no experience, like, laser cutting or 3D printing, and I figured which I'm very proud of, and I think that's what gave me the confidence to take on something like building 2 custom dollhouses, that kind of, like, resourcefulness.
How long did
Yeah,
Brentwood take you? I'm curious.
the Brentwood. So I built it out of foam core first.
Yeah, I saw that on your blog. Yeah.
I had to do that first, and then I kinda, like, saw how it all, like, went together, and I gave measurements. It's hard because there would be gaps where we'd wait for prototypes kinda thing. I mean, it was at least 9 months. I don't know how much altogether. It was a lot
It's
of
just
hours.
amazing. So is it wild to see it out in the wild, people
Oh
building it?
oh my
Your
god,
house?
that's
Is that weird?
the best part. Out of everything, it's the best part, and I'll see things, and I'll be like, "Oh my gosh, why didn't I think of that?" And what I love too is that then I got to do the urban town.
Yeah.
The best part about that was I got to take all the things I had learned or like I'd had, because I had a lot of friends who are like, "Oh, we love the Brentwood, but we have no space." And it is a big dollhouse, okay? If
Yeah.
I went up instead of out, I think as much as the Brentwood was so life-changing and so, like, so much of it, satisfying, like, in a professional.
Mm.
I think the urban town really, for me, was just the best because I felt like I'd started in modern miniatures and I wanted to give something. I knew how hard it is for the community to find good modern miniatures. And I felt like this was me being, this is for us.
You're a pioneer, Kristine. No, really, it's amazing because I don't think I mean, I had my Victorian dollhouse growing up and stuff, and I never even thought in a million years that there would be something that I could basically be an interior designer in a
Right.
small version and not have to upset my husband because it's in my little house. So, I would imagine that one sold really well.
Yeah, the only sad part was is that, and I wanna say Pinterest.com was amazing because they gave me full reign. I got to design whatever I wanted, and I was like, "I want really nice components and wood pieces," and they let me do it. So they were
Cool.
they were incredible. But yeah, and then they retired, so the kit is no.
Well, I was kinda sad. Oh, they can't get the kit anymore? Like, you can only just buy it, like, secondhand?
There are a few left on Greenleaf, I think.
Okay.
Greenleaf had a few remaining kits, but otherwise, no, it's no longer in production. The Brentwood is completely gone. You can only get it secondhand. And the
Wow.
urban town, so I don't think the urban town, I think, launched in October,
Mhm.
it and then they were gone in the late spring.
I'm surprised
So
Miniature Crush didn't pick that up. It seems like they would. I don't know. That's interesting.
the dollhouses are
It's a
quite
big
a
thing to
big.
stock. I mean, yeah, I get that. Well, and a lot of people are selling them too, like miniaturists like you are selling kits, so you're competing with that as well.
I will say though, like, people have asked me, like, "Why don't you sell kits like that?" As a Canadian, I feel like shipping would be
Oh,
ridiculous high because majority of people are in the States, I find, at least of my followers. And then the other thing too is it's just such a big production for one person. I don't know how there are people who do it, like Little Vintage Lane, amazing. I it's just
but you know what? You're a storyteller. And you want to you
that's
want to film it and you want to do the whole
that's
like it's a very different animal than being a retailer, right?
I can't. It's not for me.
It's not your lane. I think that's brilliant to know that and just go with
Yeah.
what you've got. Okay, so then you became a miniaturist, and this is what you're doing. And I'm just interested in your scenes. Well, first of all, I have to tell you, your outdoor scenes just be still my heart. The ones with the pool and the chairs outside. I love it. Your scenes almost look like when people there was a presence there, like a person, even though you don't have
Oh,
any figures. It looks like it's lived in and like it's a space. Do
I
you feel that
appreciate
with
that.
yours?
I feel like I struggle with that. I tend to do very, like, modern minimalist. So that's quite nice to say because often I'm like, "Man, it doesn't look like anybody lives here." But I'm glad you think so.
Someone just left the room. That's what it feels like to me. Yeah, which I that's it's the story part of it. That's the storyteller in
Yeah,
you.
yeah, that's true.
Mhm.
That's true. I do love the outdoor scenes. They are very hard to like, I have one in my basement. Oh, no, there's one way up. there with like a barbecue thing. Like they are very hard to store because they're usually very large.
You have to do like a
But
platform, right?
yeah, they're like there's some in my basement. I have no more room now for these things, but I love the little pool thing.
Yeah,
It's
I just love the outside stuff. Probably because I live in a rainy place and all I want to do is sit by a miniature pool, shrink myself down, and sit in Christine's miniature pool scene. So when you're starting a build, I mean, back especially when you were doing these, do you come up with like the architecture first, or was it the story first, or the atmosphere, or like the style? What kind of jumps in first for you as an artist?
I don't know. I feel like before it was like what I think it was just what I wanted to build. I really wanted to do like a pool because I think it hadn't been done or something. So I can't really speak to that as well because I don't really remember as well what I did. I can tell you now, definitely, I make scenes because I still make things for myself. I definitely make it, and it's hard. I'm not very good at doing both at once, but um, I focus on what is going to tell an amazing or what's gonna look really cool on screen. So, for example, I'm making a bathroom right now. It's just for me, and I put my bathtub I wanna do the little bath bomb scene or whatever. That's my story, the bath bombs in the bathtub. And then so I put the bathtub in, and then I have the wall with the window and a vanity, and I set up my camera. This is boring. So
Got to tell a story.
yes, I'm not filming this week. And now it's been several weeks because I printed pink tile and I got what is going to make this really interesting as a miniature scene that we don't normally see. A white wall with a white window. And then, so no, I've done pink tile that goes floor to ceiling and I'm painting the window and I have Lazo, I think that's how you say it, tile on the floor. And I'm trying to bump it up a few levels with the interior design because I think that's what gets me excited at least now. So I
I think
just
it
think
gets
those
a
are
lot of us excited. So it's fun to see someone do it well because then you're inspired and you want to do it too. Yeah.
so I think that's a good explanation of how I work now. I put together the scene, I'm like, no, not fun in that.
I love that you
Yeah.
know that right away. So, like the cottage with the four seasons, that's my favorite besides your
Yeah.
outdoor scenes. Was that just like, would you visualize a family in that house when because you do the backdrop so well with the scene behind it, and it is very cinematic, and
Yes.
that explains a lot. Now I understand why.
Yeah.
With that idea, and that really was I mean, people really loved looking at all the seasons of that. Tell us about that and kind of how that came about.
I love that it's definitely one of my favorites, but I also feel a little bit with that one because I've never done the inside of that dollhouse. I just would throw that out because I do like doing the exterior. I bought it, I built it for the exterior. That was the goal. And sometimes I do that with projects. I buy and make them just for one specific thing. So I didn't
Yeah.
finish the walls. But I did this change of seasons and I loved it. But the problem is because everything was so temporary, it only lives on in photos and just a little bit sad. I mean, I do have the plants and stuff, but and then especially when Instagram came out, you can't just, I personally feel like you can't just post that photo on Instagram, for example, because people won't know it's a miniature.
Yeah. Your fingers have to be in there for sure.
Your fingers have to be in there. And I don't in any of my photos from that build have my fingers in it because it
It
wasn't
does look
because
real.
during blog times, you wanted it to look as real. You wanted to fool as many people as possible because they knew they were on a miniature blog site, you know. But yeah, I that the whole project, the whole idea for that project was I just want to do several different seasons and I love the
And I love
winter
that.
with like
You didn't feel like you were obligated to do the inside. In your head, you wanted the front. Yeah. That's actually a really freeing thing to not feel like you have to do certain
yeah,
things.
yeah,
Your rules. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
I love that. So I want to talk about brand work. Actually, before that, I want to know because
yeah.
your 3D printing and all the things that you started so early. What is something that like you really wanted to make in your dollhouse and you knew you couldn't make it by hand? Like the thing that kind of put you over the edge on wanting to 3D print.
So I love making kitchens. They were probably my favorite. It's funny. I like kitchens and bathrooms. I know a lot of people don't like dollhouse bathrooms, and I love making dollhouse bathrooms. But kitchens, and there were two things. I wanted cabinets, and anytime I tried to make cabinets myself, they would be super wonky. I'm not very good at. I'll admit, I'm not very good at the handicraft stuff. I don't. People find it relaxing. I mean, your work is very tiny and everything like that. I want to use a machine. It's like like, I wanna use the machine. So I learned how to laser cut cabinets because my cabinets were never nice. and square. And then the other thing I wanted was I wanted a faucet. I wanted a modern faucet. You have to understand there was Falcon miniatures and they were really like they weren't going to work. And so that's why I designed. And then the next thing I did was cabinet hardware because you could not get good
I
cabinet.
wonder if you were the first people to do that. Do you think you
There
were?
were there was few others, but like we used Shapeways at the time. Like
They're not around anymore.
we didn't have 3D printers, so you had to outsource it. So there were very, very few of us because it wasn't a thing to have in your house.
Wow.
So,
Well, that really changed the game because it made it all look real, hence the
yeah,
fingers
yeah,
having to be in the scene. Because I can think of a few miniaturists that I've actually interviewed that I can't tell, unless their beautiful fingers are in there. Some of us are not blessed with nice fingers. So I hate putting my hands in shots. I'm always like amazed with miniaturists with their beautiful manicures. Like, good for
I
you.
do. Listen, this is now a business expense. Getting the nails
Huge write
done.
off. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Okay. I love that. That's wonderful. I had no idea that that was so early for you. That's really cool. So
Yeah.
thank you on behalf of all miniaturists. Thank you very
Like,
much.
and it's so cool to see how because now you can go online and just find a file super fast, and
Print it up.
I love it. I love that it's more accessible for sure. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah.
So I want to talk about your brand work because it's really stellar. So that happened pretty early too. And then do you remember? So that was the first project that you talked about. The very first brand one was kind of early.
I did Uma Beauty, and, I have a photo. It was a full store display.
You need to go to YouTube because I'm going to show tons of Christine's images. So they're all on there. And in fact, you're probably showing it right now, Christine. So tell us about it if they're listening in their
It had a whole row of foundations in the back. It had backlit signage on the sides, and it's funny 'cause sometimes a lot of brands will ask me to do things when they're doing travel minis of their products. So this was one of those times, and I learned from this job that it's not always great to do travel minis because in miniature, then they're like extra, extra small when you miniaturize them, right? Because you're not only doing the regular size product, and then it's the mini product in miniature. But it was a really cute. I learned a lot, and I did learn too. So a little bit of behind the scenes of how I do my cosmetics and things. I will build my dioramas in 1/12 scale because space, but I make all of my accessories in 1/8 scale. Like Remint miniatures, Remint Japan. I don't think they're 1/6. I think they're 1/8. And I tend to make
interesting.
mine like not all of theirs, but a good portion of theirs are 1/8. So I tend to make mine like 1/8. And so they look because if you print a 1/12 scale lipstick, it's gonna be so tiny and I can't pick that up. It's gonna roll away. The audience can't see it. And remember, again, I make miniatures to share rather than just collect. So for me, it's really important that people can see it. So yeah, even anything I make for myself, I'll debate whether or not to scale it up a little bit to 1/8. So it's not like purist.
Well, and you don't have people in your scenes either. That would complicate things too if you were doing people. Little Christine needs to shop at Sephora because you did you did Sephora, you did Haagen-Dazs. You have a huge roster of brands. How much it's always interesting to me. What percentage of your work right now is commissions for brands?
I really struggle to do personal work on top of brand work. I will say, going back to like the health thing, I've come a long way. I work full time now. I'm in a much better place health wise, but I still find it's really easy to burn out. Brand work is very, very fun. I love the challenge. The Sephora collection for me was that hit like the pinnacle for me. I felt like, okay, I've done it now. I'm very happy. I'm good. That was just so fun for me. It's really hard when a project like that's the four collection project of the store and the factory. It's like hours and 2 months.
Oh, wow. So do you charge by the hour? Is that how it works?
You usually charge a flat rate, but I estimate. I try to keep track of my hours because you have to estimate. And yeah, most of my jobs fall between about 80 to 160 hours. I feel like that's quite a range,
Wow, lot.
but it's still quite a lot. And usually you only have 3 to 4 weeks. My goal is to take off my weekends this year. And it's not,
You don't have weekends right now? That's not
I
good
have
for your
not been
health.
very, I was better last year, but I think a part of it is because it's not that I don't take like 6 jobs a month. I usually only take one.
Well, it
But
sounds
then
like you
you're
only
also,
can take one though. I mean, how would you
yeah,
do two at the same time?
right. It's very I've done it a couple times. I don't
Of course.
But I think the hard thing is then I also need to make projects for my page that are not sponsored
Right.
because, that's part of I mean, A, it makes it fun, and B, I think it's important when you have an audience that you're not just doing all sponsored work. You gotta show your personal who you are as an artist.
Well, and you've got people that have been following you since the beginning, I would imagine, and they have really
Yeah.
enjoyed watching this huge projection from starting, wanting to photographing your minis, and then here you
Yeah.
are with these huge brands, and I would imagine they come to you. They're coming to you to ask for you to build it. That's really
Yeah.
cool. How much license do you get creatively with products?
Pretty good. I will say I usually have a lot of credit, and as I go along, I have developed certain things. I'm very protective of I like to do more than one product because I know if we only have one product, I'm really gonna struggle to make it engaging. For real, you need 7 clips. You can't just be showing that one little product 7 times. It's not, it's not exciting enough. So I do tend to push back on things because,
Good.
you know, and then we work on something that works well together. Because in the end, like, I've really learned that we both want this to do well, you
And do
know?
you wanna tell a story? Do you tell them that? Let's tell a story with your products.
So I go for it with a narrative, and I always make sure that we always have a wow factor. So for me, like, a wow factor is either fake running water or cool accessories that we haven't seen before, like hair clips, and then or sometimes opening a cabinet to reveal things. That is super exciting to watch, and I always, "Can I show your other products in the background?" Because that's really cool to see, like, a bunch of products on a shelf, because whether or not you know the brand, it's exciting to see these little minis. There's something about that makes it exciting.
No wonder these brands come to you because I don't think they're thinking of this. That they've seen what you've done with something else. Ooh, what can she do for us? And by the way, you should insure your hands because your hands are in a lot of these shots,
I know.
right?
Yeah, that is probably one of the hardest things is because I work upright to the day before I film, and your hands are so cracked and so I like slathering on the hand cream, before I go. And I would say, I think something that might surprise people is that it will take me, on average, about like 10 to 15 hours to film a 10 to 15-second brand reel.
No way. Why?
I think that's good for people to know,
Yeah.
because it's so I don't know, when I film, it's very rare, especially if there's a mirror involved. If it's a bathroom with a mirror, oh my goodness, because like, you gotta have the backdrop so the mirror reflects it. Some things are a little bit easier. There are some when I've done, uh like a shopping reel with displays, that usually doesn't take so long because I'm okay, put it down. But
Mhm.
otherwise, it's really figuring out like what is going to tell this story. And you got to make sure you're hitting the right way and everything. And just finding like engaging enough. Sometimes I really get stumped. I'm like, what can I do that's going to be exciting for this next clip with the products that we have?
So do you have a
Yeah.
big table? Do you have a space with the lights and everything where you're filming everything you film everything in the same space or do you move around?
Like, so I've taken over. My husband is so good to me.
Ah, I know how
I
that
have
is. Yeah.
So this is my office. I do like painting. I don't know, some painting in here. I do a lot of spray painting, so that's why I was like, "Oh, do I do painting in here?" I do. And I have like some things back there, but then I also have two other room. I have my laser cutter, my 3D printers in the basement, and then I have a room. I took over the dining room for filming, and we finally got rid of the dining room furniture last year. So I said, "This is my full-time job. Like, we're doing this." And I have carts. I have an IKEA cart, and then those Alex carts that you can, yeah.
Yes.
So I've started using those, and then so I can move things around, and I have 2 big lights and 2 small lights, plus a bunch of other little lights, and I've got it now so I can film at 11 p.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning. It's come to that sometimes.
Mhm.
And it was, like, game changing for me to be actually able to film at night because
You have
I'm
a
sure a lot
studio. It's a dining room studio is what it is,
yeah,
right?
but yeah, yeah, it's a dining room studio. A lot of miniaturists, like, can understand how hard it is to film your minis. It's so temperamental. You need the sun, and then I guess it's just the depth of field is so small, and you have
Yeah.
such hard shadows. That was probably my biggest accomplishment. I feel like last year was getting the lighting where I was in a place where it was really easy to film
Oh,
at night, and that was
That's the photographer in you. I mean, the lighting is just fantastic. Yeah.
Thanks.
Another part of just being a pro and working with brands that they don't have to worry
And you
about, you know?
just enough, because otherwise I would wait for sun, and you can't rely on sun.
In the Northwest, forget it. So when you're working with the brand, is there an art director or a social media team, or do you just kind of make it and pass it on? How does it work?
Usually, I would say I've been really fortunate to have a lot of creative control. They usually come out, and then I've always been approached super nice. Usually, they'll either have an idea or they know the product that they want. And then I usually give them a whole bunch of ideas. I tend to do a lot of like get ready with me or like bathroom because I do a lot of cosmetics products. But I usually approach it as a get ready with me or a self-care night or a date night or a even the Haagen-Dazs ones that were food related. I had a story kind of
You
woven.
definitely did.
So I approach it there and then I give them a storyboard, like, I don't necessarily draw it out, I just do the first clip, like, open up a cabinet, and then there's going to be your product in there, and they pull it out, put it down, and we'll do then this action, and this action, and this action, and these are the parts of the video that I think are going to engage everyone, and I usually try and include the wows. For me, it's the fake water or something like that.
Coming out of the faucet. Good grief. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting. I have a couple of questions about this because I find the brand work fascinating. You give them a rate. Do you get to keep
Yeah.
the stuff? Do you get to keep the scene?
I don't send anything.
Nice.
No, I think like, no, I think the thing too is that when you're building a miniature thing in let's say you have 3 weeks to make this. I do try and go for 4 weeks, but let's say you only have 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks to make something, and then you're gonna film it, and you need buffer before it to for approvals and stuff like too. So sometimes you don't have a long time to build it. I can't make these heirloom quality
I bet.
display level pieces. I have it written, you can't take it unless you want it's not even worth
Well, it's going to take
people
like 3 times as long to do it that way.
it
And what
is,
would they do with it? You never know.
it is. I have sent the odd thing. I think there's been 3 times, and every time afterwards, don't do that again. I love it, but then at the same time, like, it's just time consuming. Same with behind the
Yeah.
scenes. Behind the scenes, well, I find that really hard, like, time-wise too, but, no, so I have a big collection of all these brand things, and the ones I've always gotten the brand ones that come to me and like, "We want our store," or, "We want our" like, a specific thing. So it's not like I've been tasked with doing I have done bathrooms, but not a lot.
Kristine, you need Kohler to come to you. You could build like the pink bathroom with the
Yeah, yeah. I like but they don't necessarily, like, go to other projects kinda thing. And I feel I finally started parting with some really old brand work things that were taking up a lot of space. And I'm like, "Okay, it's been several years, like, you can let this go."
hard to let it go.
Very hard. I was just gonna say, I think most miniaturists are hoarders because you don't know when you're gonna use. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I might need this. This goes
I
in the
know.
drawer that will never be opened again for 3 years. The AI thing is interesting. My husband's just learning about all this miniature stuff because I'm showing him
Yeah,
things. I showed him, some of your brands. He's like, "Oh my gosh,
yeah,
it's so tiny."
yeah.
Why don't companies have AI do that? Oh, well, that's an interesting question. I know how I feel about it, but I want you to tell me, why are these brands wanting this, first of all, the narrative, but all of it. What do you think the future of that is? And do you think they're gonna keep hiring miniaturists to do this stuff? Because it is so wonderful, and I don't want it to end. And what do you think?
Brand work is an interesting my job is to promote brand awareness. I don't really know that I'm gonna sell their product. I do show texture moments, but it's not quite the same. And I'm not showing, "Oh, look, my skin now looks like this." Music beauty is an example, but I really think that we're a brand awareness pillar for brands. So I think that's an important distinction. But then with I don't know. I actually get a lot more comments now about my work, like, I see the behind the scenes. I'm so glad to know it's not AI. I think AI is coming. I've seen a few, you
Have you?
know
I can tell though, can't you? You look at it and go, "Oh, geez, that's not real." I mean,
yeah,
I
but
can tell.
I don't know in the future if that will change, but I do think at least I'm hopeful that there at least is a demand. I do think brands are thinking right now, like society does like to see handcrafted artist made things. I still think that's a value. And so I do think that is part of the reason why they're reaching out. Part of it is like miniatures are in the last 2 years, I noticed a big, like, influx in miniatures and content and things like that, and then I do think now there's another little bump because of AI coming out and the human element, but it has changed the way I make and present my miniatures. Like before, I was so concerned with getting it to look super realistic and no imperfections. Like if there was like a hair or like a fluff or something, I would take it out. And now, no, it's staying. You know those
Yeah.
lines when you PLA print on a printer, you get these lines on your print. And before I would sand it off or be like, oh, I don't like that. And now I'm like, no, that is staying there front and center because it shows, I mean, it's machine crafted, but it shows that I have put together this piece.
Interesting. Do you think there's going to be a swing? I think people are irritated with a lot of things with AI right
Yeah.
now. The water use, I mean, we're really starting to be educated about
Yeah.
it. And there is
Yeah.
going to be a swing to real things, these scenes that you can touch them and hold them, and a person made them. So I'm an optimist. I'm kind of hoping that it's going to be even more valuable as we go,
Yeah.
as we look at things and go, is that real? You know, because we're going to come to a time where we just don't know. And knowing that a person was behind it is a huge deal, I think.
I think there will be more miniature content that comes out that is AI created because of the cost effectiveness.
Yeah.
So I do think that is inevitable, but I think there will still be a demand for the quality human element from brands that really care about how they're connecting with their follower. Like I do think there would be both.
And I would think those are the brands you wanna work with. Those would be the ones
For
that
sure.
yeah.
For sure. For sure. But I've been kind of keeping my eye on I don't know how it's gonna go. Yeah.
What's the hardest detail to get on something beside? Because now you're talking about 1/8 scale, like a product, what's the hardest detail to get in miniature?
Text, like product text. I'm talking beauty because that's something that I've focused on. It's something that I've enjoyed. But if you get a product with 8 lines of text, so I usually focus on the logo. I will blow up the logo extra big. I think something I've been trying to show this in behind the scenes posts. I don't do them often because it can almost like triple my time.
I know.
I'm getting better at it, but so I usually write the labels. The brands don't send me anything. Sometimes I'm really thankful when they send me products. I try to get products
Hold on,
specific.
they don't
Yeah,
send you anything? You don't
this
get, like,
is
to
good.
hold the real
Good.
stuff?
So, this is good. So a lot of the time, I get sent high-res photos, which is great, but I need to know how big your product is. And I think because people are like, "Oh, well, she'll just make it happen, make it look good." No, it doesn't need to be perfect, but if you have 4 products, I want those 4 products to look proportional to each other. So, I either make a lot of trips to my local Sephora or sometimes they will send it, and maybe it's because 'cause I'm international, so sometimes that can,
Yeah.
or timelines, but usually at the minimum, I request high res photos. And then I will write out the text myself, like type it out, find fonts that are kind of similar. You have wiggle room because you're shrinking it. And then because I think people think sometimes I get sent and I CAD design like all these products. They aren't sending me files.
Amazing.
Sometimes they'll send me the odd time. Sephora collection is amazing because they sent me all the packaging. Ooh, I never get this. I'm usually taking photos of their boxes. But yeah, I got white ink cartridge this year. So I could print white ink, and let me tell you,
That's
I
changed your
used it
life.
in every single job. I've used it in every single personal job. This is the best thing ever.
I never would
Um,
have thought of that. That's amazing. I think you need to represent that company, man, because that
it
probably really changed the process for you. Yeah.
I used to turn down products. I used to turn down brands that had white text on products because I can't do
Really?
it. Somewhere you can, you'd print, like if it's a tube, you could print a color, like, wrap and wrap it around, but if it's a clear bottle
Forget it.
or the
Perfect.
bottles were, like, curved, yeah.
That's very cool. Do you have a brand that you wanna work with? This is your moment. Put it out there. Who do you wanna work with?
Sephora was definitely
Pretty great.
the pinnacle for me. That was the coolest. That was my dream one. So I feel like that was really good. I I've done a lot of beauty. I still like doing like a lot of beauty. It's super fun. I love doing it when there's a lot of different I have some cool ones coming up, I have to say.
Okay, good. We'll have to
I have
stay tuned. Okay, that's
I have some
exciting.
cool ones coming up because I really like them where there's like real brands in one. And I think that's
Mhm.
yeah, that's
Still
that's
pushing for Kohler sinks, man. I think you should do faucets in a bathroom. I wanna see a full bathroom campaign from you because you love making bathrooms.
yeah,
That would be
yeah.
really cool. So Kohler,
Yeah,
if you're listening.
yeah. I'd like to make a faucet that actually puts water you can pump water through.
Like, that sounds like something you could do, right?
Maybe.
So
Yeah.
for miniatures who are listening to this and their dream is to work with brands, especially, they really wanna make the tiny things, how do they start?
I think for me, it's really important that you're making content that brands can see themselves in. Because often I would get like approached to be like, we really like this video. Can you do something similar like this for us? I also have realized lately that like, I think doing, even if you take on smaller jobs or something, kind of getting that portfolio or exposure, other brands follow other brands, and that can help too. But yeah, I definitely, and I have a very specific like work ethic towards my page. I put out content. I'm very, very conscious of what content I'm putting out.
Yeah.
I sometimes will not post things, not that I'm regulating it, but like I will specifically pick projects that I think a lot of people or like that more people will like than very specific niche. Because I treat my page like a business.
Yeah, smart.
So it
And
is,
it's
I do
Instagram, right? Instagram is your main that's your
Instagram.
main
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. And then the other way is to you can pitch brands. You can write them a DM and be like, "Hey, can like we talk? What's the contact for your social media department?" And then you can send them. I don't. I feel like miniatures is not like the typical like influencer. I don't.
Oh,
So
I
I
don't
never
know,
know.
it's slowly becoming
Yeah. So, I often, like, approach with a, "This is what I'm thinking. I'd love to use your product, and this is what I'm thinking." And I definitely think I started out with, like, product trades, and that's how I built my it went slow, went where I got jobs very infrequently, and then to the last, like, maybe 2.5 years being book solid. But there is a lot of times where you weren't, like, solidly booked every single month, it
Mhm,
takes a while to, like,
mhm.
get up there, and I will say, I think it's an important discussion too, like, it is you really have to learn how to balance your time because these deadlines can be very fast. 3 weeks is not a lot of time.
3 AM in your dining room doing a
3 yeah.
a 5-hour shoot on your
It's not a
yeah.
lot of time. I wish if I could go back, I wish that I had made a whole bunch of dioramas prior to starting. And whenever I have time off, I wish that I rush to like try and like make stuff so that I can go back and when I'm really busy, I still have things to film. I think so like if you're just getting started, try and make some like sets that you can use either for brand work or because it's very hard anybody who is a even if you sell on Etsy, there's one thing you have to put your time in to make your products, and then you also need the time to advertise or I mean, I'm always no, it's like connect with the community, but also, just like upkeep your presence online. And when the projects are so large, it can be difficult to do. So having that library to pull from, yeah, yeah,
That's really good advice.
that would
Do
be
you
yeah.
have a does your day kinda roll out? Like, is it pretty organized and typical in how you do things? "I'm gonna do content, I'm gonna build this," or is it kind of all over? Because it sounds like you got a lot going on.
So I'm starting a new project right now, and I probably for the next week will do a lot of computer work, like designing the files, designing the labels, and then I'll start 3D printing them, and I'll start 3D printing the sets, and then I'll be this mad dash of spray painting and assembling and gluing, and then usually I always underestimate how long it's gonna take, and I'm, working really late hours, and then I film, and I wait for approvals or whatever, and then
Mhm.
it's good. And then I kinda get a couple days see, this would be when you'd have time off, but then, no, I need to put out content for my own page. But it is kind of like that cycle, so I always look forward to the computer work because it's okay, I can be at my computer and have a bit of a break, it's nice. But yeah, I get up and I usually just some like emails, responding. There's a lot of proposals. When I do a proposal for a brand, I don't just type it up in an hour. It takes me like 5 hours. Can I source or can I make what I'm suggesting
Yeah.
in my proposal? And so you really have to think through, can I get that material? And if you're in Canada, you have to account for shipping
Oh,
times.
man.
Uh,
Wow.
but yeah, it's kind of an interesting so I find and then sometimes the brand will be like, "You know what? This isn't gonna work for us." And you're like, "I just did a
Uh,
proposal."
how many times has
There's a
that happened?
a few. I'm trying to get better at really checking things out before. I only say that because I was surprised at how much, like, admin work you have on top of, like, communicating and scheduling and booking. I tend to book 2 months out minimum, sometimes 3. Like, I'm booking June right now.
Wow.
Just really, like you're kind of like, wow, like what am I going to be like in June? But yeah, it's surprising like how much admin there is on top of making the minis and then filming and then posting. And I the reason why I like talking about this is because I don't think people know what I'm doing.
Yeah. I don't think
I
they
try.
understand how much work it is. I mean, just
Yeah.
being the director, the creative director, the filming director, the maker, I mean, the publicist, you're doing all of it.
Yeah.
That's a lot. So I have a question for you, mental health question. When you take a vacation, can you turn it off?
Yeah. Yes.
That didn't sound very confident.
It depends on last time I went on vacation, I had some, like, questions about whether things were gonna get booked before I left, so I, like, had trouble leaving it because I think it happens when brands typically figure out their budgets and approach, like, at certain quarters of the year, so I do find kind of sometimes are busier than others, and so maybe my vacation lined up with when a lot of,
That's
like,
smart. Like
important.
January, right? Isn't that kind of a quiet time?
Yeah,
January?
yeah, and I was away end of January that time. I struggle to take time off. It is my biggest I'm gonna take a long weekend this weekend. I'm gonna take this weekend off. I'm so proud of myself. We went for ice cream last weekend. I am making it my goal because in the past I have burnt out, and last year was it last year and the year before? I think it was 2 years ago, I had to stop jobs. I had to take time off, and part of that is because my health, I've had to be careful not to I can overdo it. But yeah, it's really easy to be, "Yes, yes, yes," and then yeah. But it is sorry, I was just gonna say, I think it is whether or not you're a miniature creator or any other creator on a social media platform, I think a lot of us really struggle with the need to feed that machine, and so
Yeah.
I have just decided I'm only gonna put out the best I don't just like filming myself, like, as a random behind the scene clip. I'm gonna put out the best content I can. I aim for once a week, and
Good
you
for
might
you.
notice I go quiet for a while because the job is too big, and I've just been like, "You know what? It is what it is." I'm still booking work. I'm enjoying what I'm doing, and I think that has made the biggest change in my life for the best was just letting it go, post once a week. If I had to take a few weeks off, I will come in with my best, biggest content, my cars, my closets, my kitchens, and
Your outdoor scenes.
come in with my biggest, best content because I've been away for a few months and engage with the community that I love. And that has made the biggest, just letting that go. And I feel fortunate to do
You know
that.
what though? Your fans, the people really, really want to see what you're doing. I think it's just a matter of, oh, she's posted. It's exciting to see
Yeah.
something new. I
I hope
don't think
so.
they're going, where is she? Because I think we all know what you're doing. I mean, when you put
Yeah.
out stuff of all your tiny little products and you're working on a campaign, you can't keep up with the social media machine. And I think people know that. And also
Yeah.
giving yourself permission to let it go, just
Yeah.
you know that that's going to feed your health. And in your defense, workaholism, because I'm there too, you love it.
Yeah.
You really
Yeah.
love it. So it's hard to put it down. You enjoy it, and that's fantastic. You know, it's not really a job. You get to love it. So that's very cool.
Oh, can you imagine I was in a high school being told this is what your job's gonna be like when you're old, like, what?
I know, and here you are. You're living it.
Yeah.
So your blog, when you started that, you were very generous with content and putting all your stuff out. Was it important for you during that time to really share your process? Were you intentionally doing that for other miniaturists?
Yeah. I think it's because the blog was such a great community factor that you wanted to give back, you wanted to share, you felt like you were part of the community, and I don't know, something maybe because and people would leave comments, and maybe it felt smaller than it was because, you just see the same people leaving comments and you, like, talk with them, and sometimes social media can feel a little big.
Like a noisy lunchroom?
It's just a lot of people, and it's harder to feel as, like, connected, and I really did love that about the blog. I wish I could blog more now. I don't it definitely takes a lot of I really made effort for the urban town and the Brentwood to post how I made things because I
Yeah.
felt it was really important. I definitely haven't posted brand work because it's just I do my best to post on stories now because it's really easy to take a photo like that. Yeah, it definitely had for me, the blog was a community aspect, and I feel like now with the Instagram algorithm, they show you I try to go and see other people's content because otherwise I see the people who I
Right.
interact with the most, even though I would interact with more, I have to make sure I have to switch it to the following tab rather than the general feed. And sometimes I do that. So I know I follow other miniaturists and they just are not popping up for me. Um, I do try and do that.
It's a more crowded space, but it's still
Yeah.
awesome. Like, people are
Oh,
so generous and
yeah.
kind, aren't
Oh, yeah.
they, in this community?
Yeah.
What was I gonna ask you? So, what keeps you excited? I mean, about I guess you could say all of it. Like, what's the one thing, like, if you weren't working with miniature, you would miss the most?
The job part has taken over a little bit, and I kind of am looking forward to the day where I step back for a little bit and then come back. I have a Brentwood dollhouse kit in the basement, and one of these days, I'm gonna come back to that and do it just for me because it has I think for a lot of people, when this becomes your job, it does change things. And now I do like the storytelling. Would I still do miniatures the same way if I didn't have a platform? I don't know, but I'm so invested at this point. I can't walk away. My friend my friend Rabita and I always joke, we can't walk away now. We've our houses are just jam-packed full of miniatures, like this
Yeah.
we're in, but I do yeah, yeah. I mean, I love it.
Do you think somewhere in the future there's teaching for you? Would you ever like to teach?
I would definitely like to teach. I
Mhm.
don't know, I haven't found a platform but you know why I'd like to teach and why if people always ask me, "How do I do this or how do this?" Because I felt I spent so long, the period from my first brand collab to a year or 2 ago, I was so lost. I didn't know how to price things. I didn't know how to,
That would be a cool class to teach, how to do miniature work for brands. Oh boy, that would be a packed class.
like, how to light things. I literally just figured out the lighting this past year. How to do the white labels. I like to share this with people because I felt like I struggled for so long. Listen, I will tell you. And I have to give a shout out to Chelsea Makes because
Mm,
she
you guys are buds, I know that.
for me, just having someone who also is going through it and she's very giving with her information and we'd be like, what do you think about this? And
Doesn't that change everything having a cohort, a buddy that you could call have on speed dial? Because you guys do a lot of the same work, a lot of similar work.
you know what? And at first we'll recommend each other, and I remember the first time I went to recommend her, "No, if I do this, will I lose all my opportunities? No, no, I'm just gonna do it." And let me tell you, I have learned tenfold. There is so much work, and the benefits of having someone you can call on just to share ideas or vent and be like, "Oh my gosh, I feel so overwhelmed with what I've taken on." It's really important to have somebody like that.
She said exactly the same thing about you, by the way, in her interview. She was very, very grateful for your friendship. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's great. We recommend each other for jobs. And I think in miniatures, whether you're selling or you are doing brand work, it's really easy to feel protective. And something that I've learned is that you see sellers these days, and it's just growing. It's just growing. I think it's really easy to be territorial because it's art, and you feel like it's very like personal. And artists can be very, very protective because I've made this, and so I have just realized there's so much out there's so many people buying, there's so many brands out there that wanna work with miniaturists. There's opportunity for everybody, and I'm really happy that I'm in that place now.
That's why I think you'd be such a great teacher because you've learned all these things. And I do feel like you should charge for the information. I mean, because these are things you learned, it's hard school of hard
Here,
knocks. And I
here,
think
check.
people would really be interested in that. Yeah. When you have time, good grief. I don't know when you would add that, but maybe down the road.
I feel like social media is kinda shifting.
The Pinterest thing is very interesting to me. I took a Pinterest class and because
Oh,
a search engine and not a hustle, culture sort of Instagram, which
yeah,
I experience as well. I wonder if it's going to go towards places to find things rather than this is me behind the scenes. I feel that pressure too of having to do that stuff online. And it's not that I
yeah,
don't like it. It's just like you said, it's the pressure. And if you have a job like you do where you have deadlines, you have to set the boundary. It sounds like you've done that. And just like everything else, where you shifted from blogland, it was
yeah,
so big
yeah,
back then to now, there'll be another shift and you'll roll with it.
yeah,
You're a pro,
yeah.
you'll roll with it. Yeah. Okay. I have some rapid fire questions for you. Are
Okay,
you ready? Okay. Besides Miss Chelsea, who I adore, she's so great. Other
yeah.
miniaturists you admire or are friends with?
Rubina, I mentioned she's in BC, and what's great is because I especially feel like because Marina's up and she's here too. She does brand work too. Marina's Minis, and then there's Kitty and Cat Miniatures in Toronto, and I feel like there's something about the Canadian miniaturist experience that
I
is very
love the
unique.
Canadians.
I mean, there's a bunch of us. I'm just going with the people who maybe I chat more with, but because shipping or getting things across the border or
The same
well,
irritants for sure.
there's just something like it. So I really love that Rubina and I have developed that, especially because we've been Canadian and been friends with her for a long time. And then and Chelsea. And you know what? I will say all of the women doing brand work. There's Bridget and Hannah, and there's two Hannahs. There's Hannah Clancy and then Hannah Lemon and Bridget McCartney.
All the good ones. I'm listening. This is such a great list. Goodness.
The great thing is that I feel like I'm missing a couple. There's cello like in Toronto. Oh yeah, yeah, she's amazing too. Uh, like everyone is so friendly. If you have a question or something, I love that we will all like commend each other. I just love that there is that community of like fullness just within people doing brand work, and then you go beyond that and you have your friends. I don't know. You go through. I have several friends from when you do this for so long.
You find your people. Yeah. And they're the best people. I would argue they're the best people. Yeah. What's the hardest miniature material to work with? And I know you said text, but like building a house, your builds on the inside, your bathrooms and all the cool things. What's the hardest material to work with?
I just will say, I don't like sewing. I don't sew. I will outsource all of my sewing. I just took a job where it involves bedding, and I'm
Uh-oh.
like, oh god, because I'm not a sewer. I'm gonna figure it out. I might ask Rubina to help me. I usually buy food and things that are sewn. I don't. This is gonna sound funny. I don't really like making tiny things. I like making beauty
Sounds
products.
really funny.
I like making furniture. But I don't really like making really tiny, like, food or I don't know. I like making the bigger 1/12 scale miniatures,
Yeah. Yeah.
like a kitchen. Yeah, yeah.
Interesting. What is a tiny detail that people might miss in your scenes? The things that refine it, that make it like extra special.
Oh, I think, uh, I have because I have my list of making sure there's always movement in the clip. The hand should always be doing something. I never pan.
Interesting. You never pan. Hmm. I guess
None
you
of my
don't.
I find that, like, you need the hand, and you need the hand to be doing the action, and then I find that I don't I had this there was this great advice that said, like, "If the audience has understood the idea of what is being presented, move on." And so, in my stuff, I don't like to repeat things in the same reel. Sometimes you have to, but then you really have to change up the context where it is in the scene. So like I will usually look at a scene and okay, I need so many areas. We're gonna have the vanity, and then I need a shelf, and then I need a table by the bathtub, and then I have to figure out another two areas for me. Usually you can do two on the vanity. It's hard to get three clips on a vanity without it being repetitive. So there's a lot of thought that goes into that. And then you also need different accessories. I've started using the same accessories for a lot of videos, but in the reel itself, I do really try and change up what things are in. I really plan it out. I always go in like I need 7 different ideas.
You are a filmmaker, is what you are. You're a filmmaker. Yeah. I mean, it's just on small scale, but you absolutely are. I mean, if that was your dream in the beginning, you're there. How cool is that?
That's what makes it fun though with miniatures, because then you're like, I need 7 fun minis. That's where the mini part. I need hair clips. I need cool products. I need some nice towels, slippers. Like, yeah.
Yeah. That's great. That's very cool. If you could design a miniature version of any building you can think of in the world, what would you do? Or house or whatever structure?
I'm kind of like blanking. I know there's houses. Brentwood was a very specific style. It can be made into a lot of different houses, but it is kind of a specific style. And same with the townhouse. I really want to do a house that I would see in a Canadian neighborhood around kind of where I live. I always thought that would be kind of fun. The number one build I really want to make though is a patisserie or like a bakery or a cafe.
Yeah.
I have been collecting for years from Paris miniatures, and I have like a boxes of bakery stuff, and I just have never had time.
Yeah. I would love to see your bakery. Yeah. And your little miniature poodle. You could have a little miniature poodle in the front sitting on a little.
That's a wish list. Yeah, yeah.
Very cool. I want to see that. I'm going to wait for that. That's my jam too. I love storefronts.
I've collected for it, so it's got to happen at some point. Yeah.
Good. Okay, my last question, it's my favorite
Okay.
question. What did little Kristine love that grown-up Kristine finally gets to honor through this work? And I think I know the answer, but I'm going to let you riff on that.
I mean, let's just face it. When Reels first came out, I was like, oh no, I have no content because I've been doing photos and no hands in photos. And as it went along, oh my God, I am living out my childhood dream now. It went from being like, oh no, a lot of my content won't be usable. And I felt like I had to start from scratch to be, this is what little Kristine wanted, making videos, you know?
And here you are. I'm really happy for you that that came full circle, that tech caught up to your dream. That's
Yeah.
very cool. Well, and tell
Yeah.
us where we can find you. I know Instagram, it's Paper Doll Miniatures, but are you on TikTok as well?
Listen, boundaries here, protecting boundaries.
Good for you.
But I just find I put all my effort into Instagram right now. But my blog is great if somebody wants, like, to know how I make how I've built things. Maybe not specific, like, products or something, but I showed how I made the urban town, everything that I did for it. I have some other things. So I've kept my blog up. I've, renewed the domain.
It's evergreen though. I mean, all the stuff you
Yeah,
have on there, people want to know. So I would don't ever take that down. That's a very valuable spot.
I hope it's a good resource. But yeah, but I right now I put all my effort into Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's paying off. It's been so delightful to get to know you. And I love hearing the behind the scenes stuff because you just don't know if you're not doing this work.
I wanted to share it. When you reached out, I was like, "Yes, I'll talk about this because I think it's really." I mean, maybe I'm biased because I love doing it, but I think it's really cool.
It is really cool. And I love the fact that companies are hiring miniaturists to do this. That makes my heart happy because we need that,
Yeah,
real life art because it's art. It absolutely is.
yeah,
White
yeah.
printing and all, it is art. So just wonderful to meet you and I'm going to follow along. I can't wait to see your next few projects and just take care of yourself. That's the last thing I'm going to say. Just hearing what you've been through
I
and where you are now, take care of yourself. It's really
Thank you.
important.
I'm
Yeah.
very pleased. Yeah, yeah,
You should
it's good.
be. You should be.
Yeah,
Thank you so
thank
much. All right. Take care, Kristine.
Bye.
Bye. If you loved this episode, make sure you're subscribed on Apple or Spotify podcasts or the YouTube channel so you don't miss the stories and wisdom these incredible artists share. I'd love to see you inside my newsletter, Small by Design. On YouTube, just tap the link in the description. On Apple Podcasts, scroll to the bottom of the show notes. You can follow along on Instagram at Lara Blair Art Studio for my art and at Tiny Worlds Big Stories for podcast updates. If you're feeling generous, a 5-star rating helps other miniature fans find the show. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next time in another tiny world with a big story.